New year, fresh start, time to recreate myself. What will I find when I walk down this path? New friends, new goals, new challenges to be met. I will meet them and I am going to succeed. New year, fresh start, it's time for self-discovery.
Episode 8. Secret Revealed.
You're one of the dumbest motherfuckers I ever met. You just begging to be found.
Noah glanced back over his shoulder to the large fox. At the moment, Samuel lounged on his couch, and his tail flicked against the couch's arm over and over. His vulpine eyes were extra narrow and super judgy at the moment.
Your bleeding heart always gets us into trouble. Well, go on then. You've already made up your mind. However, I reserve the right to say, told you, bitch. When they show up at our door, ours, not just yours, you selfless, don't care if I inconvenience my best friend cause I'm wired to save the whole fucking world, even though it's not my job, motherfucking ass.
What would I do without you?
Bitch, caught years ago.
Samuel laid his head down, but he still locked his gaze on Noah.
We may get caught this time.
Noah rested a hand on the rectangular wooden box resting at the end of the table. It was about 2 foot by 3 foot, with a height of about 1 foot. The exterior of the box was painted purple, with the exception of the edges which were painted gold.
If they come, I'll handle it.
Yeah. Get the fuck out and go. Tell me how it goes. Go.
Right? Wish me luck.
Noah picked up the box and hefted it under his arm. The fox simply flicked his tail and closed his eyes, appearing to forget about Noah and his current bleeding heart mission. Still, despite Samuel's gruff and macho demeanor, he was one hell of a friend. Noah left the apartment, and a dark sky with the barest hint of dawn greeted him. Several of the last few brilliant stars still twinkled, where the clouds hadn't obscured their view. A slight nipping chill danced on the air. Noah took in a deep breath and then started his daily trek. The weight of the box tugged at him, but not because of its actual weight. With each step, Noah's heart thumped with tremendous force, and a storm of static nerves swirled within his veins. He licked his lips. He even laughed a little, although it didn't dislodge the awkward tension that had been building up ever since Noah had gotten home from the game the other day. His insides tugged in numerous different ways, and the storm grew more furious the further he walked. Maybe he should have eaten breakfast after all. Then again, it probably would have just spilled out past his lips due to the growing strength of his unease. Samuel had been right. This was a risk. Perhaps the biggest risk he had ever taken since he had started running. Still, the thick chords of his heart's harp hummed with desire and intention. Noah stopped right in front of little Helos, and the wildness within him surged. Runes inscribed on the insides of the box kept the contents hidden from magical prying eyes, but even that notion did little to comfort him. In the hour before sunrise, very few of the lights in the numerous apartments were on. Noah licked his lips as he finally urged himself to move forward. Like most of Laughlin, Arceados Academy was unlit and slumbering. The gate was still open, just in case anyone needed to access the building in the wee hours of the morning. For the most part, that usually only meant janitors. However, another person came to mind. Hopefully she had not arrived yet. As Noah moved into the building, absolute silence engulfed him. His shoes clapping against the floor sent dissonant shivers throughout his body. Most of the classroom doors had been left open, but when Noah got to the teachers' offices, the door had been locked. That made sense. given the confidential material that often lay in wait within the teachers' desks. Noah pulled out his key and unlocked the door. He stepped inside. The teacher's office was quiet, dark, and empty. That was another good sign. Noah moved across the room and came to a particular desk that wasn't his own. He drew in a deep breath and then placed the wooden box on top of the desk. Next, he pulled open a drawer, took out a sticky note, and then placed it on the surface of the box. Noah wrote, "Please open me when you get home."
I hope this helps you.
Suddenly, the light in the teacher's offices flickered on, and brightness slapped Noah right in the eyes. He squinted and looked to the door, where a single person stood in the doorway. As his vision grew more focused, great dread roared to life in Noah's heart.
Noah? What are you doing here in the dark?
She stepped into the office.
And what are you doing by my desk?
Noah stepped back away from the desk.
I just wanted to come early and...
Issa rounded the corner and her attention fell to the wooden box.
What's that?
Issa moved rapidly down the aisle. Her eyes were locked on the sticky note that was placed on the wooden box's top. Noah dared not move back any further, so he stood as still as he could. His mouth dried up, and his stomach transformed into goo.
Please open me when you get home?
Issa locked gazes with him.
What is this? Did you leave this here?
Noah opened his mouth to retort.
You did, didn't you?
Issa bumped Noah out of the way with her shoulder, and she smiled.
Is this a gift or something? You didn't have to get me something. I realize I've been pretty gloomy lately, but I'm starting to feel better.
Issa opened the box. Dread clutched Noah's throat, and its grip became even more dominating when the delight fell away from Issa's face. Her eyes widened, and she tilted her head ever so slightly, perhaps trying to process what she was seeing. The insides of the box was lined with a velvet cushioning, and resting in the center were two items. A single glass vial of dark silver liquid, and a long, white feather. The feather was so white that a slight luminescence extended off of it. For a moment, Issa just stood there, looking at the two items. She didn't say anything, and so Noah remained silent as well. A sudden flicker of orange light started filtering into the room, coming from one of the windows.
Is this supposed to mean some kind of joke?
What? A joke? No, of course not.
Issa just kept staring at the items.
You mean to tell me that you just happened to find two incredibly rare components I needed days after hearing about them from that Capudine troll? Two nearly impossible items.
I wouldn't play a joke on you. Not with something like this.
Issa finally turned to face him, and her eyes were drenched in tears.
And how do I know they're real? How do I know you were sure? The other components all are hard to find as well, and if I waste them on a feather and a vial that aren't what they're supposed to be, then it'll even be more of a setback. Doma will never be cured.
I promise you, they are the real deal.
But how? How do you know? How? Can you prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt? Because if I give Doma the potion with the wrong ingredients, I could make things worse. It could kill her.
By all that was holy, the pain in Issa's eyes drove hot spikes into every inch of Noah's soul. There she stood, with a hand clutched to the spot above her heart, and the other hand resting on the top of the box's lid. She needed more than a promise. Nothing Noah could say would make her believe 100%, especially after what that Capudane bastard led her on to believe for so long. Words could not help this situation, but perhaps an act could. Noah winced and stepped back away from Issa, and moved to the center of the aisle. Issa watched him, but she didn't say anything. The urgency in her eyes swelled, though. Noah held up his hand and indicated to the ring on his hand.
This ring is very special. It does two things that help me immensely. First of all, it hides me from anyone who might recognize what I am.
No! You can't be serious.
Noah averted his eyes, and his insides clenched wildly. Hellos. The universe clenched wildly in anticipation for a long, unspoken truth.
The second thing is that it suppresses my true nature as well. For all intents and purposes, mage blood with this ring on. However, when I slip it off, the real me comes out. Doesn't stop me from doing my magic, but with this ring on, I'm severely hampered. If you promise to keep it a secret, I'll slip the ring off for just a couple of seconds. Do we have a deal?
Issa simply nodded, but she covered her mouth with one of her hands. Her hand still clutched the top of the box. Noah gently slid the silver ring off of his hand and held it in one of his palms. He closed his eyes and let the long pent-up magic flow into him from deep within himself. Every cell within his body vibrated, and it was such a joyous thing. The universe hummed back at Noah, as if welcoming him back into existence. A powerful pulse of magical energy blasted out from him. He opened his eyes, and a brilliant silvery stream of magic flowed out from them. That was not the most impressive aspect, though, and surely not what caused Issa to fall to her knees. As soon as Noah took off the ring, a brilliant, blinding light formed just behind him, flowing out from his shoulder blades. Two large white wings extended from his back, and Noah extended them full spread. The white feathers glowed and lit up the entire teacher's office. In that single moment of unblocked glory, Noah's super senses awakened. On the edges of his empowered mind, Noah felt the numerous magical auras of Heliotians many miles away. However, as sure as he could sense them and know their location, thousands of Heliotians became aware of him. They might not be able to sense where he was in the way that he could sense them, but his cover was blown. Noah slid the ring back onto his finger, and his angelic magic faded from the known world. He reached down and offered a hand to Issa, who had stared at him with awe-filled eyes.
Remember, you promised not to tell.
Issa blinked a couple of times and then really looked at Noah again. She allowed herself to be pulled up to a stand. More tears dripped off of Issa's chin.
You are a real... You're really I can save Doma!
Noah opened his mouth to speak, but Issa plunged into his chest. Her sobbings grew more intense, and she wiped her face on the front of Noah's shirt.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Noah wrapped his arms around her smaller form.
You're welcome. But again, this is of the utmost importance. You can't tell anyone.
Issa stepped away and wiped her face on her sleeve.
I won't, I promise.
Issa closed the box and gripped it to her body. It was indeed a precious treasure.
I have to go. There's so much prep that needs to be done.
Good luck. You're going to cure her.
I hope so.
Issa moved to the door, but she stopped in the doorway.
If this works, then I might be gone for a few days. I don't know. It depends on Doma's condition. When I get back, I expect to hear your story.
Noah just watched her go, his mouth slightly ajar. A profound and brooding scowl decorated Miss Miyoshi's face when she walked past the front gates of the school. It was the kind of expression that could melt thick iron beams, turning them into red-hot pools of metal. Noah averted his eyes from her, and she made no motion to acknowledge him either.
Cruz.
Gregor strode up through the gate and approached Noah. A wide, intrigued grin spread across his face.
I didn't think that you were on greeting duty this morning.
Oh, well, Miss Montebello was supposed to do it, but something came up and I'm covering her shift.
Covering her shift, huh? Trying to smooth up to her, huh? I've seen how you two have become closer.
Hey, it's not like that.
Hey man, I'm not judging or condemning you. She's smoking hot and smart as hells. You could be doing a lot worse, so good for you.
No, really, we're just friends.
Yeah, sure. See you later, bud.
Gregor moved toward the front entrance. The first sets of students came through the gates, and they spoke to one another in excited, hushed tones. Noah grinned at them, and they promptly returned the favor. Another set of students made their way closer to him, although they didn't really acknowledge him when he waved at them. Those students were Heliotians, and were 2 devils and a single demon. They clustered close together, and they whispered in hushed tones. Their eyes radiated with a palpable degree of agitation. Several more clusters of students arrived, all magebloods, and they appeared unbothered. However, each Heliotian student who came to school that day reflected the same sense of caution and dreadful quiet. Demi Votheis walked through the gate. Her eyes were downcast. A sulking frown dominated her face, and she walked with her hands held behind her back. When she noticed Noah, she gave a half-hearted wave and a grin that didn't quite match the restlessness in her eyes.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Cruz.
Though he wasn't sure, Noah had a strange inkling what might be bothering her. Still, he couldn't let it on that he had suspicions. Otherwise, it might lead to some very unnecessary questions.
Hey, are you okay? You're not usually one to be sad.
Oh, well, I'm just, sort of out of it this morning.
Oh, I hope you're not sick. I've noticed a lot of other Heliotian students seem like they're in a funk. I hope it's not some kind of weird bug. Or is it something else? Miss Miyoshi was livid when she came in. Is everything okay?
I wish I knew. Listen, I already talked to Headmistress Darbo about all this, so there's going to be an all-school assembly later on about it. Did you feel anything strange this morning?
Strange? Like what?
It might just be something that we Heliotians can feel since, well, we know it best. Every demon and devil in Lappin felt a presence emerge this morning.
A presence from a powerful devil or demon? Did someone do something bad?
Are you sure you didn't feel anything this morning? You're acting a little off?
Maybe it's the collective discomfort I sensed from the students. Each of the Heliotians I've seen have come in disturbed today.
Disturbed is a good way to put it.
Demi glanced back at the students who walked somewhat near them. Her voice became a barely audible whisper.
We felt an angel's presence.
Noah's eyes widened, and when he opened his mouth to speak, nothing came out.
I know, crazy, right? The angels of Heavenos haven't been seen for nearly 150 years. They aren't supposed to come here. This was in the treaty.
A wild, hot panic danced in Noah's throat, and he almost vomited.
The treaty? What treaty?
Oh yeah, that's right. You're not a Heliotian. At the end of the Bright War, a treaty was signed. If any angel is caught in this realm or in Helos, then it's an act of war, and the ceasefire will end.
Oh man, that's really bad if it was an angel. Maybe you all were mistaken.
No, there's no mistaking that kind of presence. And this wasn't a normal angel either. This was an archangel.
Noah just stood there, and an acid bath conjured from pure regret splashed around in his insides. Samuel had been right. This hadn't been worth the risk. What had he done?
All of Hellos is in an uproar. As soon as we felt it, King Yalgoden himself was made aware. I'm certain all of our students' families are worried sick.
King Yalgoden knows about it?
Yes, and the Devil Queen Shambin Desora does too. It's a big deal. Headmistress Darbo is going to assure everyone, especially the Helosian students, that Arceados Academy has their best interests at heart, and will protect them in the case of a Heavenos invasion.
An invasion? But Heavenos wouldn't invade.
And what would you know about Heavenos?
Well, I mean, they are a dimension of angels, right? And they can't be all that. You know what? I'm going to stop right there. Please forgive me.
Look, it's fine. Most people who aren't from Hellos think that demons and devils are inherently evil, but let me ask you, have you ever met an angel?
No, I have not.
Trust me, I have. They're just like you or I. Some are nice, I'm sure. However, I've met some of the worst. They can be just as monstrous as what society makes demons and devils out to be.
You met terrible angels? How?
Demi took a single step past Noah and whispered in his ear before going inside.
Well, I fought in the Bright War against them.
Damn!
I know, right?
Noah stirred a large pot with a ladle. A thick soup bubbled within the pot, and the salivating smell of melted cheese, cooking potato, and the hint of chicken filled the entire apartment. Samuel laid on his couch and he gazed at Noah, who was in the kitchen.
You know, you might have fought her.
Probably not. If I did, she would have been dead.
Motherfucker, I didn't mean one-on-one.
Samuel flicked his tail against the couch cushion.
I meant you probably fought on the same battlefield. She probably saw you from a distance.
Oh, then yeah. Probably.
You were just supposed to leave the fucking box, man. It was supposed to be easy and quick. How did you fuck that up? I still don't get it.
I know.
Oh, you know. Fuck your attitude.
Samuel jumped to his 4 paws.
Oh, no. You don't get to have blowback with me, bitch. I told you not to give her the feather or the blood, but you just had to do it. I let that shit slide, and then you go all extra and reveal yourself. You show some chick your real form. You're jeopardizing both of us when you do dumbass shit like this. When are you gonna realize that?
I know! I'm sorry, okay?
No! It's not okay!
Samuel walked closer and stood in the mouth of the kitchen.
All of Hellos is now aware there's a rogue angel in their turf. We fought some fucking crazy battles before, but nothing like the legions of Hellos. Jeez!
So what? Do you want out?
Fuck you. You're my friend, and friends don't just cut out. But friends also don't take advantage of their friends by continuously placing them in danger. This kind of shit is stopping now. This is the last time you're gonna do something this reckless.
Okay.
Promise me, motherfucker.
Okay, I promise I won't be so reckless in the future.
I'm gonna hold you to it, bitch.
Samuel sat on his haunches.
It's unwise to break promise to a god.
You're not a real god. Or rather, not a major one.
I should take a human form and slap the shit out of you.
A hard series of knocks echoed throughout the apartment, coming from the front door. Noah and Samuel looked at the door and then back to one another.
Don't look at me, motherfucker. I'm not the one who just blew my cover. Go answer it, and I'll be ready to burn them alive.
Noah stepped past Samuel.
I'm sure it's not that serious. Only a few people know where we live.
Despite his words, acid still pooled in the bottom of his throat. He opened the door. 2 women stood in front of his door, with bags of groceries in each arm. One of them was Issa. Noah stared at the other woman, or rather, the girl. The young girl stood up to Issa's shoulder, and her eyes twinkled with extreme delight.
Wow. You already brewed the potion? And it worked? That was really fast.
Yeah. I was surprised it worked as well as it did too. Those things you gave me were pretty potent. As soon as Doma drank the potion, her whole body shimmered in silver light. When it stopped, she was able to move around normally, as if the curse hadn't affected her. We've practiced walking all day, and so far, she's not had any issues.
Doma gave Noah a little bow, and her eyes became a little teary.
Yes, and thank you for everything you've done for me.
I hope you don't mind that I told her what you were, or are.
I suppose it couldn't have been helped. How did you know where I lived?
I called Miss Fodheis and asked for it. I told her I asked you to get some notes from my desk, and that I needed to get those notes to prepare for an upcoming test I was working on. Anyway, we're going to cook you dinner.
Isa? It smells like you already did.
Oh. Well, we're going to cook you more dinner. And while we eat, you can tell me your story.
Listen, I don't know if tonight is good.
Please? I really want to know too.
Yeah, please.
Noah gave them a long stare.
Just let him in. You were already going to. You soft-ass motherfucker.
Oh, who's that?
Doma peeked inside, and her face instantly exploded with delight.
OMG, it's so cute!
Cute? I'm not cute. I'm handsome.
That's my foul-mouthed roommate, who also happens to be a lesser fox god.
Man, if you don't stop with that lesser shit, I'm gonna beat your ass.
An angel and a fox god? Ooh, I can't wait to hear this.
She moved past Noah and went into the kitchen, and Doma followed along.